This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
She needs to do a podcast since she never got her due. She's a big lesbian and a loudmouth Jew. With a gasket always ready to blow, you're listening to Judy Show. Who? Judy Show. Wait a minute, who are you talking about? Oh, she's an asshole. What is wrong with you? Oh, you suck. So long. Fuck off. So, what do you think? Yes, it is rebrand day, and I hope you loved my new theme song written by Lauren Gold, no relation. And I'm thrilled to be doing It's Judy Show, which should have been the name all along, because when I started doing stand-up, I used to do a whole bit about how if I had my own show in the 60s, it would be a variety show, and I'd open it by sliding down a big spit curl, which I had on the side of my face, and singing, "It's Judy's Show!" And people still come up to me on the street and scream, "It's Judy's Show" at me. And I was like, you know what? This is It's Judy's Show. So thank you to Michael Patrick King. Yes, he is of Sex and the City and Two Broke Girls fame, for coming up with that in the 1980s. And here we are. Judy. I hope you love the theme song and it's not annoying. I'm so proud that we're finally rebranding and that we've been doing this for 9 years. Almost, yeah, 9 years, maybe 1 month. My mother was on the first episode. She was still with us. I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled. It's new. It's exciting. There's a new photo. Everything is new. And you know what? You gotta reinvent yourself. That's in this business and in life, or, your life is over. Seriously, you're boring, whatever. So here we are. Please write to me and tell me what you think. It's still me and my great interviews and my great rants, but it's a little shinier and brighter and newer. And I hope you subscribe, leave a review. And I really need that to make a little bit of money from this, but I don't make any, as I've told you a million fucking times. So yeah, if you could just be a little more supportive by subscribing and leaving a review, that would be fucking fantastic. So my first guest for in the new branding of my wonderful, wonderful new podcast is the amazing and beyond handsome, okay, and the star of, or one of the stars of the movie Ghost, Asher Grodman, who is just fucking fantastic. But people, June 9th at the Village Underground, which is part of the Comedy Cellar, I am going to be doing a live podcast with the Good Liars. I fucking love the Good Liars. If you don't know who the Good Liars are, check them out on Instagram. I don't do the TikTok, but whatever. They're fucking fantastic, and I'm so excited. So that is live at 3 p.m. on June 9th. It's a Sunday afternoon. It's like an hour, 15 minutes of your time. You have drinks. You'll have the best fucking time. You'll laugh. And then you'll leave. And you'll be in the Village. What more could you ask for? So that's June 9th at 3 o'clock. Live podcast at the Village Underground. You can get tickets in my bio, or go to comedycellar.com, or I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. But so that's that. But are you excited? Are you as excited as I am? Wait, come on. Just admit that the fucking theme song is fantastic. Can you just do that? I'm singing it, as you can tell, because I'm so off key in the very beginning. But then I got used to it. But I just want to say thank you to Doug Wamble, who mixed it for me. Lauren Gold, who was I was going to say he's so instrumental in creating the theme song, because instrumental, get it? Instrumental, because he's a musician. He actually is the keyboardist for The Who and for Chicago. Okay, that's how fucking cool he is. And I met him at the Comedy Store in the 90s. He used to play piano there, and we used to go off on these tangents where I would just start singing about how much I hated the audience, and he would just go along with it. And we were so interconnected that we've remained friends. He's going to be on the podcast too. But yeah. So I'm just letting you know, I love it. Hey! Ba-na-na-na-na-na. Okay, so I wrote the lyrics. She needs to do a podcast because she never got her due. Because she's a loud lesbian and she is a big lesbian and a loudmouth Jew. I mean, come on! Seriously. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was a bit of a surprise. I hope that it was a bit of a great surprise. Lauren, by the way, got all of his friends to play on it. I don't have all of their names, but I'm going to say them right now if I can find them. But he got all of his friends to play other instruments. I don't know. There's more, but I can't find them. We started working on this in February. Okay. Drummer, Justin Gariano. Thank you, Justin Gariano. Okay. Thank you to the bass player, John Button. Thank you, John Button. Thank you to Pudgy Beagle for the guitar. Oh, I guess that would be, Tony Obratha, Pudgy Beagle. I don't know. That's another name for him. So Tony Obratha, thank you for the guitar. And of course, as I mentioned, the drums is, I think it's Todd Windmill that I just said. And yeah, I just, yeah. And Doug Wamble for mixing it and being the sound engineer. And Todd Windmill is a mixing engineer. So he also helped mix it. So whatever. Thank you all. So there's my new theme song. It's still me. It's me, older and wiser. I hope you enjoy. Please enjoy. I hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Please enjoy part 1 of my interview. It was hard to even look at him, Asher Grodman, because he's so fucking handsome. But I hope you enjoy part 1 of my interview with Asher Grodman. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. It's Judy's show. I'm so excited. Our guest today is, I met him recently at a sort of secret Seder. Are we allowed to talk about it?
It's very funny. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it. Okay. I'm not sure. Well, there was a previous edition of the Seder was like in the New York Times. So like there's clearly some
right
aspect of this that is open to the public.
Right.
But I don't know, maybe a bunch of Jews getting together at any moment feels like it should come with secrecy. So
yeah. I know we're very secretive people. Mm-hmm. That's my Jew bell, by the way, Asher. Anytime I mention anything Jewy, I ring the bell. But I think it's going to be too much today. Anyway, Asher Grodman is our guest today, and you know him from Ghosts because he plays what's his name, Lefkowitz. Wait, I wrote it down. God damn it, Judy. Trevor Lefkowitz.
You're the first person I've spoken to who started with the last name.
Well, that's what I remember because Trevor is so not a Jewish name.
That's right.
But yeah, I totally remembered Lefkowitz. And so you played Trevor Lefkowitz on Ghosts, but you've done a lot of other incredible things. So we're going to talk about you have an interesting life. I saw you at the
interesting life.
Yes, you do. I mean, I saw you at the Secret Seder, and we were all like, "Oh my God, he is so good looking." And then, shut up, Asher, shut up. And
it's very sweet of you. I didn't know.
And I'm a lesbo, and we were just like, "Oh my God, look at him." And then when you turn to the side,
my first girlfriend was a lesbian.
No way.
Yeah.
She right after you?
Probably.
That's not good. Asher.
No,
that's not good. I'm sorry. Did you know when you were with her?
No, I just assumed that everything was my fault. But I think afterwards it probably provided some. Yeah.
How long were you together?
No, it was just like high school.
Oh, all right, whatever.
Like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, all right.
But yeah, I helped her find her path.
Oh, so, can you help me find my path? Because I would
be honored.
Thank you. First of all right, let's start at the very beginning. I love your playbill of the original playbill of Fiddler on the Roof behind you. Did you go to that? Well, no, you're too young.
I was not there. I've heard many a tale, but my girlfriend who you met, Samantha Massell, was in the most recent Broadway revival.
Also very unattractive.
I know. It's so
I mean, hard. The two of you, I was just like, I can't with those two. It was annoying because, we're not a good looking race of people usually. And then these two walk in and it's like, oh my God. So she was in the revival? The Yiddish one or the...
No, not the Broadway one that ran concurrently.
I auditioned for that.
Yiddish one.
I auditioned
Did you?
For that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I always audition for Yenta and I never get it. And Jackie Hoffman always gets it. Okay. So, and we're very similar. But, okay. So, Asher, you were born in New York, but now I am from New Jersey. And yes, and my whole family, they came over from Europe. They settled in Perth Amboy, New Jersey. They started the first synagogue there. This is the late 1800s, lot going on in my connection to New Jersey. And my father, rest in peace, he wrote the tax laws for the state of New Jersey. Very big New Jersey roots. My mother grew up in Manhattan, but she had family also in Perth Amboy. So anyway, because I think I'm definitely inbred like every other Jew. So when I read that you were raised in Califon, New Jersey, I know every town in New Jersey. I never heard of that fucking town. And I was
no one has.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I was by the way, I was a toll collector on the New Jersey Turnpike between my freshman and sophomore years in college.
Wow.
So I know a lot about New Jersey. And so Califon, you grow up, it's a farming town. You grew up on a farm, right? And a lot of people, that's why
not a functional, I should say this because my friends will be like, you're always like, you're saying on your farm. It's not a farm.
Right.
It is a farm. It was an old horse farm. And my parents bought it. There was no one out there. It was just like cows and horses and trees. My parents bought it before I was born. And they did not farm. There were other horse farms around that would just ride along our property. So we continued to help the horsing nature of the area. But we did have 14 dogs running around.
14 dogs?
Yeah. We're big animal people, especially.
Do you remember all their names?
No, actually I don't. There were 2 litters. There was a litter of, because this is what everyone's interested in. There was a litter of labs and a litter of Shar-Peis. So there were a lot of so there's a period where we had a lot of puppies running around, and we eventually gave a bunch of those away. But there was a core of 9 that I grew up with, and those names I remember.
Okay, go ahead.
In addition to the 6 cats who lived there.
Oh God.
Do you really want me to do this?
Yeah, I want to hear the names.
Okay. So the really cute part is the family of Charlotte. This is my parents. This would be their favorite interview I've ever done now. The Labs, the mother was Hale, the father was Bear, and the daughters were Bearette and Blondie Bear. How cute is that?
God, that's very cute.
And they were assholes. The daughters were assholes.
No, really?
And mean to their dad. Yes, absolute assholes. And my parents would say this.
Yeah.
And then the Labs, these are great names. Vishu, Cocky, Montana, Dallas, and I'm missing the boy. What was the boy's name?
Oh, the boy.
Come on, it's going to come to me. He's a white lab. Vishu was like the main, like the alpha male of the group. Montana, Cocky, Dallas, and oh God!
Oh
this was
my God!
His favorite interview, and now I forgot him.
God damn it! We're gonna have to call Pam and Mark.
Just to clarify, this generation was there till I was like 6, 7, and then a new generation started coming in. So it's a lot. It's very biblical. There's one generation leads to the next generation. So
Lador Vador,
Montana, Cocky, Lador Vador. I won't waste your time with this. But
it's going to come to you. Your parents, Pam and Mark.
Yes.
Right. And you have a younger brother, Zane. What's with these names, Asher and Zane? You're
my mom.
Too cool for school, and not Jewy.
It did not feel that way growing up at all. No, it still doesn't feel that way.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. They're the home of the #1 checkout on the planet and the not-so-secret Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales happening. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds and Skims use. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/start selling, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/start selling to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/start selling.
We have a lot in common, except in the looks department. First of all, growing up in New Jersey, and I also was bullied. You were bullied. And I grew up in there's these small town, people don't understand the suburbs of New Jersey and how you could be so close to the biggest city in the world, and yet the people can be so provincial and,
Yeah, I grew up in a very waspy neighborhood. I don't even know. Is waspy a mean thing to say?
No.
Is that a bad? It's not? No. Okay. But I grew up in a very waspy part of town, and I think it was, and I drove because there was no one out by where we lived. So I probably drove or I was driven 25 minutes to middle school and 45 minutes to high school. And, but it was just it was being Jewish was weird.
Right.
It was don't you just want to be normal, And so it's, and there'd be the things where it would get a little more intense, where things would get carved in a locker or something.
Right.
But for the most part, you were just the weird
kid, the outsider. Yeah. The other, the town is only 1,000 people.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I looked it up.
It was basically like a PO box,
right?
When I was growing up, it may if 1,000 people is the number now, that's pretty remarkable.
So, what was your closest neighbor? How far away?
Oh, no, it wasn't that. It was probably 300 yards
Oh,
or
okay.
something like
And
that.
you could go.
But it'd be another farm. But we wouldn't.
Right.
Like, it was.
Did you go trick or treating?
Well, not where we grew up.
Right. You had to
We
go.
would go elsewhere. Yeah.
Wow.
It was very like, and everything's also like, people always ask, I'm on a show called Ghosts, so they always ask if we have ever had like ghostly encounters.
Right. I've read an interview where you said there were ghosts in your.
Well, yeah. So the house is famous for being one of New Jersey's haunted houses, and a lot of that has to do. I think I have never had a ghost encounter, but it has a lot to do with like the terrain, which is very swampy and very thick trees and stuff like that. So there were neighbors, but it's like you're gonna get pricked a few times just trying to get over there.
Right,
not like it's not easily accessible. Like, hey, buddy, how you doing?
Yeah.
I'll meet you at the.
Like,
I'll
I
meet
used
you
to
when we get
go.
the mail.
Yeah, I'd go to my neighbor's house and ring the doorbell and be like, "Can Rosemary come out and play?" I can't believe we did that.
That wasn't happening.
I can't believe that's how I grew up. It's so weird that my kids have never, they just get on their phone. They're like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And it's like you used to literally ring the doorbell and the mother would come to the door and a lot of times you were rejected because, oh, she's doing homework. And you're like, "Oh, okay. Tell her I stopped by." It was like.
Well, I didn't have that either. We would have the, and this is where parents have a large role in the framing of a childhood is, parents would call the house for the play date, and whether or not they liked your parents was also a big factor in whether you got the play date.
Right.
But I will say, just to expand the craziness, like my mom grew up on a legit farm in Oklahoma, and at 4 years old was just riding a horse from farm to farm to farm, and it was completely hands off. No one knew where she was at any given time. She tells the story of just walking around, throwing a knife into the ground over and over again, and then accidentally throwing it into her foot.
Ow!
And at 4 or 5 years old, and then being like, oh shit. And then just walking home with the knife in her foot and showing it to her.
Okay, not Jewish.
That's
not Jewish.
Yeah, she did not grow up Jewish.
Yes.
She converted.
Good for her. They're the best Jews anyway. That's why you're so good looking, by the way.
That might be it.
Yeah. Your father, assistant professor at Columbia College of Physicians and Surgeons, and your brother is also a physician.
Yes, they're both. It's yes, they're both in medicine, but I don't think I shouldn't speak for my brother because I don't really know. He's still kind of figuring out what his path is going to be. But my dad has always been I got into this, but I don't think he ever really wanted to practice. I think he wanted to get into the business around medicine. He started a clinical laboratory that started. It's so funny now. It started as a thing called Medmobile, which sounds like a superhero joke or something.
Right.
But it was literally a little van that he drove around New York and Newark with and provided healthcare. That expanded into
I love that. That's the first urgent care.
I guess so. I don't know how urgent it was. It was a little more well, yes, actually, yes. It would have been very similar to that. It was basically he was doing blood tests and the stuff that you'd have to wait forever to go to the doctor before he was bringing to you.
Did people make appointments, or did he just show up and they were like, the truck's here and that hot doctor is here with his hot son?
Now my dad's gonna be back to loving this interview.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that. It was
such a smart thing.
I don't know how the structure of that worked. By the time I was had awareness as a child, the Medmobile still existed, but his focus had shifted more to the company, the Bioreference Labs company. Right. And so it was less driving around. But what he did do, he used Medmobile to do all of the blood testing for the firefighters of New York for free.
Wow.
And so we would get to Sundays, and we're a big football family.
Right.
And so my dad would watch the Lions game, scream at the TV while he was doing charts for all of the firefighters.
Oh, I love that.
This was our weekly kind of routine, was dad sitting with a pile of these charts on one side of him while screaming at the television slowly, and then the pile would go from here to the other side.
Oh, that's hilarious. first of all,
What do I say?
the fact that you're dyslexic, which do you talk about
Oh,
this
yeah.
a lot?
I tell everyone I know. I slip it into
Really?
every conversation. No.
Oh, shut up. It's so,
But it's part of the thing because it was part of what made all this really hard for me. And then once I figured out, part of like kind of what I clung to as a
how did they,
process.
so I am so interested because, I grew up in a time where people were weird. People had learning disabilities, but no one diagnosed it or did anything about it. It
No.
was just
Yeah.
like, you're a bad kid and you're this and you're that. And now I think back, if I looked in my yearbook, I would be like, oh, that one was autistic. And oh, that one, this and that, whatever.
I don't know why that strikes me as funny of
But
you
it's,
pulling out the yearbook. You're
uh,
like, look at that one and that one.
but it's like now I go, oh, okay,
Yeah.
Asperger's or whatever. So how do you figure out and like, how did your parents figure out you had dyslexia? What age were you? And how do you learn?
Yeah, that's a good question. My parents are very accomplished and driven. My mom was like the vice president of women's wear for Ralph Lauren and the president of Calvin Klein. Like they were very accomplished people, and and they beat themselves up a lot. But they're always like, "Oh, wow, we really missed this, and we should have figured this out earlier." I don't know how much that's really true because they have a high standard, I guess,
Right.
for themselves. But I think it was a little bit, I was taking tests. You would take these standardized tests. My mom talks early about like reading to me as a kid and how it wasn't something that I was gravitating towards
Right.
as like an early sign.
Right.
And then I was taking tests, and they were, and I guess I seemed like just a very shy kid who wasn't very involved in much of anything.
And you were
Probably because I was on
I heard you had anxiety as well. A lot.
had.
I mean, as a kid, it doesn't go
Jesus.
away. But
Doesn't
I'm
go
just
away.
saying,
My
yeah, no,
God.
I'm just saying you suffered from anxiety too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, I think everyone to an extent is probably suffering from it. Being an actor,
Oh, please.
certainly adds complexity to the equation. But it's not something that debilitates me. But there are certainly days where I'm like, oh Jesus,
that you just
learn how to deal with it. Yeah.
How to get through the day, and that you just have to make it through this day.
Yeah, and I think, and I guess I try to talk about it because that kind of thing was never talked about when I was a kid. And I remember when, a few years back, NFL players started coming out. I was just so into football as a kid, and I remember thinking with these like superstars coming out and talking about anxiety and depression and stuff, and I was like, oh my God, if I had heard this as a little kid, my life would have been so much easier.
Right.
Because once something's normalized, once you feel mirrored out in the world, you're
represented.
I'm fine. I'm not alone in this. This is okay.
And look at them. They're football players. They're so successful and they suffer. Yeah.
So it's I think it's good stuff to talk about. But to answer your question about how to there was something for me, reading and writing was really hard for me. And math kind of started, or it was like I was not doing too good. And then around the 5th grade, something about math and the kind of puzzle pieces of math started to click in. And then, so it kind of like created a picture on the outside, like, oh, okay, his brain is wired to do this certain thing well. It's not that he's like, off to lunch.
Right.
It's that some things are getting in there and some things are blocked. And so my parents, in their driven way, like got me help and got me a tutor, and just kind of like we worked and hammered in skill sets that I used. But it always was like a point of shame. Like it would be easier for someone to read a thing to me as opposed to me reading it.
So did you did you know when you were reading, like, these letters are all fucked up? This is not that's what I find so fascinating, the way the brain works. And did you compute in your head, I'm seeing this, but it's not sounding out as, you know what I mean?
It wouldn't be, because I think as a kid, unless you and especially living in an isolated environment, unless you're seeing what you're experiencing internally, unless you're seeing it outside of you, you're assuming that whatever you are is wrong. So I felt that way. The thing that I really felt, my mom had a tricky relationship with her family after she converted. And so we would write letters, and there was a very little relationship. And so we would write these, like, if we got a present or if there was a holiday, we would write these like letters to her family. And I think I could feel as a child the stakes of these thank you notes, because there was no relationship in trying to. And I would write these thank you notes backwards. And so I was always afraid of what would come out of my hand.
Right.
Like if a letter would get reversed or something like that. And so, and that was probably the thing that probably keyed in my parents what was going on. I remember my parents added, they built a garage onto the house or something, and there was cement on the ground, and the A in my name I flipped. And so it's like there in concrete, like 1994 or whatever. So it was more, I think, because when you're reading, it's hard for you, especially when you think there's something wrong or you're not aware of what the situation is, to express that. It's in the writing that it became clear that there was something.
But other people have it in the reading. Is that correct? That they look at it?
No, I have it in the reading. I just mean that because it's a receiving of information, it's not so easy to perceive from the outside.
Wow. It's so interesting. I find it so interesting. And there's so many.
And it's funny. I actually think my parents, I think, helped me, because I think there was a point where I was on the verge of being like, of the school being like, well, he shouldn't be here. He should be at a special needs school or something. Oh, God. And my parents, I think, saved, and I ended up being like one of the, I was at the same school for like 12 years. I ended up being like in the top of my class at the end.
Of course.
So it's like, none of this stuff is like a life sentence. You work through it. But I do think that I remember my parents saying there was a thing where I wrote like an entire answer to a thing backwards. And the teachers were like, well, this is ridiculous. He's in whatever grade. He can't do this. He shouldn't be at this school. My parents were like, no. Hebrew goes the other way, and he's in Hebrew school. He probably just flipped, he just got confused. So I think that they were very creative.
This week's episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Now, I am a huge advocate for therapy. I talk therapy. I like physical therapy too, but I'm talking about talk therapy. I've been in therapy since I'm 18 years old. There is nothing better. Nothing better. And it is a stressful time. We just had an election. It's the holidays, and we're going to have to spend family time or not spend family time. It's a decision you might make in therapy, because therapy is really the best way, the only way to process your feelings, anxiety, depression, everything. I've been doing it for over 40 years. I know what I'm talking about. So if you've been thinking about starting therapy, if you thought about it for years and just didn't do it, please give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient. It's flexible. It's suited to your schedule. You go to betterhelp.com/JudyGold. You fill out a brief questionnaire. You get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch your therapist at any time for no additional charge. I've done that multiple times in my life, switch therapists. It works. It works. And I know a lot of people who have used BetterHelp, and they love it. So find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/JudyGold today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/JudyGold. You're welcome. You said in an interview that, you realized you wanted to perform or be an actor at your bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
And and people always say, what was your first how was and that was definitely my first performance. You're up there, the audience is in the palm of your hand, and you have to deliver. I love that you said that, because I totally related to it. Do you remember your bar mitzvah?
I do. God, this bell must be so tired at this
Oh,
point.
I know.
Well, it's funny. My brother was really the outgoing one. I was like this super shy kid, and Zane was like bouncing off the walls, and we would be at a friend's wedding, and he would just cut in between the groom and the bride to dance with the bride. He had no fear. And so I think my bar mitzvah was kind of like my first time where it was just like this. It was just like my turn. So that was a thrill, getting up there, and then having all these really waspy kids step into a synagogue was also quite a thing. And I think the culture shock, and they all had so much fun
Right.
at the party. So like, I'm sure that was also part of it.
Right.
And being up in front of it's a bit of like there's a moment, because I can slowly pronounce Hebrew on a page. I can't read it or understand it or speak it, where there are words, but I'm not like, I wouldn't consider myself speaking Hebrew. So this moment where you're like, I'm going to get up in front of hundreds of people and recite a language that I don't know based purely on sound, is like such a ridiculous thing. And if you can't kind of like make the leap of, well, there's a performance in this.
Yes.
You're kind of like lying to yourself.
Right. It is, it is the time in the Jewish religion that your voice is being taken seriously, that they say you're a man, you're a woman, but you're not. It's just that you're reading this portion that's been recited for thousands of years, and you have to sort of make it your own. You have to, that's why I think there's so many, people are like, why are there so many Jewish comics? Because we're taught to think out of the box. Like what makes you, how are you going to take this passage and relate it to your own life?
Yeah.
And so,
because that's what we're doing. We're relating the sounds of the Torah to our own life.
Yeah.
As you would, you're interpreting text as a 13-year-old, ancient texts. But there's this thing, there's this kind of like almost ridiculous thing that you're doing, which is a thrill. And if you can lean into it, there's a lot to, I guess, find in it. And then the other big factor for me was I'm sure you've done a lot of research. The brown-eyed girl story.
Oh my God, the hazel-eyed girl.
So
that is so great. I want you to sing it to me.
Well, first of all, let me just preface this by saying I was in the school jazz band and had no business being in the
What'd you play?
I played guitar, but like, it was truly like, my parents were like, this would be good. Everything my parents told me to do as a kid, I didn't do. And I regret it now, but they were like, this would be good. You should really, practice this. You should, and it was very safe to be in the jazz band because there were lots of really talented kids in it. And I could just hit in the back and like played my 3 notes.
Right.
And then like in one fell swoop, everyone graduated. And there was like me and like a drummer left. And suddenly I had to do things. And I was like, I grew up isolated. I talked to Devin Long, who plays the Viking on Ghost about this a lot. And I think both of us had kind of like isolated childhoods and like learned about humanity from movies,
right?
Which leads to very bold actions, but also like you miss a lot of the nuances of life that way. And so I thought, the cues. So I thought it'd be a great idea to get up in front of the entire school, and we're doing Brown Eyed Girl, and I'm singing it, and to change the words to Hazel Eyed Girl for this girl who I was like in love with.
Not the lesbian.
She was mortified. Not the lesbian. No,
okay.
This one didn't work. So not that the lesbian worked, but I got further along.
Yeah.
And she was mortified, but like it started a relationship for me with performing and coming off the bar mitzvah. So I went from like being in the back of the class and like hiding to suddenly being up in front of people and being like, oh, that's what it's like to be seen. That's what it's like to. So there was a little bit of a thrill. And then that's the year the Producers came out on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
And my brother and we were obsessed. I had like every word of that thing.
Yeah.
Memorized.
Such a great show.
So like all these factors came together and I was like, oh,
it was like an epiphany.
It was a bit of an epiphany. And then it's funny, I'm rambling now, but I just
No, I
saw
love
a friend
this.
of mine who was a real musical like talent and could play piano and could sing. My friend Ben, who I just caught up with him for the first time in a long time, and he like should have been the lead of the school musical.
Right.
Like he was built for it. He was everything, and he wanted them to do Robin Hood, and they didn't. They did Fiorello instead, and in Fiorello, which is not a kids musical,
Right.
the lead only has to sing like 2 times. So I could be the lead in Fiorello. So it's very possible that if Ben got his wish, I wouldn't be an actor today. So I might have ruined Ben's life.
Okay.
But,
well,
now
and what's Ben doing now?
Ben's brilliant. He was in the Air Force. Now he works for a security company that he has a huge
So
role
he's fine
in DC. He's doing fine. He's got 2 fabulous kids.
All
a
right.
wonderful
So
wife.
good for Ben.
Yeah, he's absolutely fine. And then and so talented. But he actually told me that he after that experience when he didn't get the role that he wanted in high school, he convinced the cast to like boycott the show.
No way.
Based on his casting.
That's
and I was
hilarious.
like, that is leadership experience,
Yeah,
potential beyond anything you could
imagine.
imagine.
My God, I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to part 1 of It's Judy Show with Asher Grodman. It's Judy Show. It's so hard. I have all these new words to say. It's Judy Show is produced by Laura Vogel. It is edited by Colin Schmaling. Theme song by Lauren Gold. No relation, but I love him like a brother. Please subscribe and leave a review. It helps more people find it, and I'm going to need more of that because we changed the name and everything. So if you could just take a moment out of your day, I would so appreciate it. Happy summer. I hope you enjoyed. Can you see how excited I am because I have something new in my life? I'm so thrilled. Don't forget, June 9th at the Village Underground in New York City at 3 p.m., Sunday at 3 p.m. at the Village Underground, which is part of the Comedy Cellar, which is on West 3rd Street, right across from the Blue Note. I'm doing a live podcast with the Good Liars, and they are fucking hilarious. So I'm really, 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 really excited about that. Also, coming up, I will be at the Holocaust Museum in Skokie, Illinois on June 2nd, doing a talk with Ari Shapiro about the intersectionality of being gay and being a Jew and being a Jew and being gay and being a gay Jew. On June 4th, I will be at the Eagle, which is a gay bar for Pride, on June 4th in New York City. I think it's an 8 p.m. show. I'm not sure. June 7th, Outstanding, the film that was directed by Paige Hurwitz, that is premiering at the Tribeca Film Festival. That's June 7th. I'm so excited. Again, June 9th, my live podcast. And I will be at the Provincetown Film Festival on June 12th with Outstanding. And I will be performing at the Post Office Cabaret on June 13th in Provincetown. And you're going to be seeing me on some TV shows promoting Outstanding and for Pride. And on June 23rd, I begin... Oh, shut up! So fucking annoying. On June 23rd, I begin my P-Town residency at the Post Office Cabaret with my new show, Your Mom's Not Funny. Okay? That is the name of my new show, Your Mom's Not Funny. So come see me every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 8:30 p.m. I love all of you. Thank you so much for listening. Please write to me. Please subscribe. Please let me know what you think. Have a wonderful, 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 wonderful week. And as we always say, so long. Ga, 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 ga.